Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. We welcome you here in the sanctuary and to all those of you who are joining us online today. For those of you who are here, please ensure that your electronic devices are muted. My name is Karen Tralip-Kumar and my pronouns are she and her, and I'm this morning's service leader. I want to thank today's service team, including our wonderful tech team, Claire Miles, John Elliott, Brian Carey, and Kelly Wolfe. And our ushers, Elizabeth Beckett and Anne Craig Howarth, and actually it looks like Doreen Knoll is, sorry Doreen, I didn't mean to miss you out. And our wonderful worship assistants, Sue and Ian Johnston, and you guys are amazing. You're here every week. It's wonderful. What would we do without you? Our speaker today is Pradeep Kumar, also known as My Better Half, who trained as a pediatrician in India and worked in the Himalayan foothills for 13 years. And after we moved to Canada, Pradeep took on the spiritual name Jivasu, and he runs workshops and courses online. And inspired by the birth of his granddaughter, Sonia, can you just show the granddaughter? There she is. He's now exploring ways that a child can become body-wise and self-aware. And Pradeep is the founder of the Soma system of teachings. Our chalice represents the light of hope at the center of our faith. The spark of this flame draws us into our time of worship and community. Please join me in my chalice lighting words. May this flame be our light of friendship and love. We welcome you today, whatever the circumstances of your life, in the many ways we identify as people, and in the diversity of how we live and love. In this house of faith, we're all included as we search for truth, build community, and strive to make the world a better place for all. Hamilton is situated on the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas. Today, Hamilton is home to many Indigenous people from across North America, and the land here is covered by covenants and treaties. We are all of us treaty people, original habitants and those who came later, inheritors of a diverse history, dwellers in a common land, and travelers towards a better day. We respect our treaty relationships and responsibilities towards the land and the original people who live here. Our call to worship. Give us the spirit of the child. Give us the spirit of the child. Give us the child who lives within, the child who trusts, the child who imagines, the child who sings, the child who receives without reservation, the child who gives without judgment. Give us a child's eyes that we may receive the beauty and freshness of this day like a sunrise. Give us a child's ears that we may hear the music of mythical times. Give us a child's heart that we may be filled with wonder and delight. Give us a child's faith that we may be cured of our cynicism. Give us the spirit of a child who is not afraid to need, who is not afraid to love. We'll be singing hymn number 1053 in the Teal hymn book, How Could Anyone?
Number 1053, How Could Anyone? How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your love is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Tim to come up and read the story for all ages. And thank you, Tim, for finding a story that's just perfect for the occasion.
Yes, I think we had a good indication of the connections between grandparents and their grandchildren right there. And our story this morning is called Granddad's Prayers of the Earth by Douglas Wood, illustrated by P.J. Lynch. There we go. When I was little, my granddad was my best friend, and being with him always made the world seem just right. Granddad and I liked to go for walks in the woods together. We didn't walk very far, or very fast, or very straight. While we walked, I would ask him questions about things I wasn't sure of it. Why is it, Granddad, I would ask, and what if, and does it ever? And one day I asked my granddad about prayers. And for a long time, Granddad was quiet. He didn't say anything until we came to the tallest trees in the forest, and then he answered with a question. Did you know, boy, he whispered, that trees pray? I listened closely, but I couldn't hear them. See how they reach for the sky, he said. They reach and reach for clouds and sun and moons and stars. And what else is reaching for heaven but a prayer? I thought about the trees and kept listening for them. And while I thought, I sat down on an old, mossy rock. Rocks pray too, said Granddad. Pebbles and boulders and old weathered hills. They are still and silent, and those are two important ways to pray. I thought hard about the rocks. I picked up a pebble and stuck it in my pocket. We walked a little further and came to a small stream, and the water splashed, and tiny fish hovered in the shadows. Do streams pray too, Granddad? I said. Streams pray too, he answered, and lakes and rivers and waters of all kinds. Sometimes they pray silently like the rocks. They lie still and calm, reflecting clouds or birds or sunsets or the first evening star. And sometimes they pray with movement, flowing across the face of the earth, giving themselves to the ocean, giving themselves to the sky, and beginning their journey all over again. Sometimes waters pray with laughter, chuckling to their friends the rocks, and sometimes they pray by dancing, leaping into the air, and falling back again. These are all ways to pray, said Granddad, but there are more. The tall grass prays as it waves its arms beneath the sky, and flowers pray as they breathe their sweetness into the air. The wind prays as it whispers and moans and sighs. It is saying a prayer and singing a hymn at the same time. A bird prays when it sings the first song of the morning, and it prays in that silent moment just before it sings. And the robin's last song at sundown is an evening prayer. All the beings of the world pray, said my granddad. as they slip through the forest or sparkle in the water, as they climb mountainsides or soar into the clouds or burrow into the earth. Each living thing gives its life to the beauty of all life, and that gift is a prayer. Then we were quiet, my granddad and I. He was watching something far away, and I was thinking about all he had said about rocks and trees and grass and birds and flowers. And finally, I asked him to tell me about the prayers of people. Granddad smiled and ruffled my hair. People pray some of the most wonderful prayers of all, he said. Bending down to smell a flower can be a prayer. Quietly watching the sunrise, feeling the slow turning of the earth, and saying hello to a new day is one of the oldest prayers. Standing in the snowy woods on a winter day and watching your breath become part of the breath of the world is a way to pray. Making music or painting a picture can be a prayer. Holding hands around the table with family and friends and remembering all that holds us together and giving thanks is one of the greatest prayers. And sometimes, said Granddad, people pray when they are sad or sick or lonely or have a problem too big to carry by themselves. They may say words they have learned from their fathers or mothers or granddads or great-grandmothers, but often they must find their own words. The important thing to remember is the words will always be right if they are real and true and come from the heart. We had walked far enough, and Granddad said it was time to go back, but I had one last question. Are our prayers answered, Granddad? I asked. Granddad smiled. Most prayers are not really questions, he said. And if we listen very closely, a prayer is often its own answer. Like the trees and winds and waters, we pray because we are here, not to change the world, but to change ourselves. Because it is when we change ourselves that the world is changed. My granddad and I went for many walks after that one, and I often listened for the prayers of the earth, but was never sure I heard them. Then one day, my granddad was gone. And no matter how hard I prayed, he didn't come back, and he couldn't come back. I prayed and prayed and prayed until I couldn't pray anymore. And so I didn't for a long time. And the world seemed dark and lonely without my granddad in it. Until one day I went for a walk, and I found a big rock under some tall trees and sat down on it. Overhead the branches swayed and a breeze whispered in the leaves. I heard a stream flowing nearby and a robin singing from a honeysuckle bush. And I heard something else too, something in the sound of breezes and birds and water. I heard prayers. The earth was praying, just like my granddad said. So I joined in. Thank you, I prayed, for tall trees and sweet flowers and still rocks and singing birds, and especially for my granddad. And as I prayed, something changed, and my granddad somehow seemed near. And for the first time in a long time, the world seemed just right. That's the end of our story this morning. Next Sunday, following our service, we will be doing a cleanup and sort of inventory and reorganization of the Rainbow Room and all the CYRE stuff. I would invite anybody that would like to join us who feels like they want to give us an hour or an hour and a half. Grace and I will be there, and Max will be there, I believe, too, maybe, yep. But we would welcome some hands to help us. So if you're looking for something to do next Sunday after the service, come on down to Fellowship Hall.
We don't have any kids today except for that one special little kid, the cutest grandchild in the world. So we won't be singing the kids out, but I hope everyone enjoyed that children's story. It was just beautiful. Thank you so much, Tim. So now for our time of contemplation. In these moments, I invite you to relax, close your eyes, and breathe deeply. Following our reading, there will be a few moments of silence, followed by music. During the music, you're welcome to come up and light a candle of joy or concern. This morning's reading is called Body Blessing by Lisa Bovey-Kemperer. May you be blessed with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You have been blessed with reason. It is your call every day to use these gifts. May you be blessed with voice. May you learn the complex nature of truth-telling. You are challenged every day to seek the joy that comes with sharing your truth compassionately, as well as listening deeply to the truth spoken by others. May your heart be full and blessed with love. May you know the agony of heartbreak as it is intertwined with the elation of true love. May you heed the wisdom of your heart. May you live into the full expression of your identity as a human being, embracing your true sexual and gender identity. May you always retain power over your own being, striving towards mutually fulfilling and just relationships. May your hands be gentle and strong. May you use them to carry light into the darkness and rest to the weary. May your hands always find the place of greatest need, beginning with your own. May you be guided by compassion and truth, justice and love. May you find rest on your journey when you are weary. May you be blessed in all things and carry blessings with you wherever you go. The offering that we accept each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit ourselves to this community and to our relationship with one another. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With gifts freely given, may we say yes to the values of our faith. We will now receive our offering while we listen to the musical selection, All Lifted Hearts.
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free. Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
In the Talmud of the Jewish tradition, the sage Hillel said, "What is hateful to you, do not do to others." This is the whole of the law. All the rest is commentary.
In the Hindu legend of the Mahabharata, the divine Krishna declared, "This is the sum of duty. Do nothing unto others which would cause you pain if done to you. It is written, it is taught. May it be so."
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
In the Gospel of Matthew, in the Christian scriptures, the Messiah Jesus says, "Whatever you wish that others would do to you, do so to them."
In the Buddhist text of the Udanavarga, the student is urged, "Hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. It is written, it is taught, may it be so."
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
In the Muslim hadith of Al-Nawawi, the Prophet Muhammad teaches, "No one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother what he desires for himself.
In the Tai Shang Treatise of Taoism, the seeker is instructed, regard your neighbor's gain as your gain, and your neighbor's loss as your own loss. It is written, it is taught, may it be so.
Many willows, one love, many waters, one sea, all lifted hearts are free.
In the ancient wisdom of Shinto, there is a saying, the heart of a person before you is a mirror. See there your own form.
The Oglala Lakota spiritual leader, Black Elk, wrote, all things are our relatives. What we do to everything, we do to ourselves. It is written, it is taught, may it be so.
Many willows, one love, many waters, one sea, all lifted hearts are free.
Shanti, Shalom, Hasiti, Salam, Hewa, Dohiyi, Pax, Paxomir. 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 Shanti, Shalom, Hasiti, Salam, Hewa, Dohiyi, Pax, Paxomir.
Your gifts in support of our ministries to one another and to the community are appreciated. Thank you.
Namaste, and thank you for joining me. I teach Soma, a new system, a new approach to life, contemporary to the 21st century and for the new generation, which is seeped in science. Soma comes from Greek, means body. Soma also comes from Sanskrit, means elixir of life or nectar. Soma is the discovery of essence of life, nectar of life, in this body. It is a biological approach for complete health and self-realization. So I will try to explain it in simple points to understand it clearly. The first point is, what is truth? A truth which is not limited to only few people, a truth which we share all. And that truth is, all of us want to live a long and fulfilled life. All of us. Do we live a fulfilled life? Second point, no, very few. Most of us wander thirsty of life, and we fill our lives from the external means, the power and the wealth and entertainment and knowledge, you name it. Third point, what happens why we don't live a fulfilled life? And the reason is, life energy in this body and brain is blocked when we were children. Basically, it all finishes by the time we are 8 to 9 years old. Rest of the life, whatever was laid down in those first or 8-9 years, slowly unfolds. And we try to overcome it, and some of us can or did, but many not. Fourth point, can we unblock this life's energy in our body and brain? Yes. Because this is nothing metaphysical, religious, mystical, or mythical. It is a fact of our body and brain. Because this life flows in this body 24 hours, whether we are awake, dreaming, or sleeping, when we are not aware about our body. This life is very biological, which we share with all living beings. How we can unblock this life within ourselves? That is the whole system of Soma, one of the many. And what is the process? Number one, passion. Unless we have passion for something, we will never succeed. We need that motivation, a dedication, honesty, earnestness. Otherwise, exploration of life becomes another chore, another thing. Out of many millions we do during our whole lifetime. Passion. Second is practice. There are certain methods. And the third one is personality. We are born with our innate personality, each one of us, because that is the rule of nature, that it never creates two things, 2 grains of sand, 2 leaves on a tree, 2 snowflakes in winter, ever the same. And instead of maintaining that uniqueness, we become the part of a crowd. We become Canadian or American or Indian, we become Christian or Unitarian or something else, because that helps society to maintain its stability. Individual and unique is a danger to any system, any organization, at any level. So that is the third part. It's not very complicated. But today I'm going to talk about children, because that is the theme. Because all this happens, as I said, by the time we are 8 to 9 years old, because 90% of our personality is laid down. Before formal schooling seriously begins, education is done. Rest of the discipline subject, what we call education, is a rote learning, is a mechanical learning. I can become a doctor, I can become an engineer, I can become a professor, I can become a religious teacher. That doesn't need tremendous intelligence. It is a mechanical intelligence, and that is why it will be replaced by artificial intelligence, all these professions. But there is something so unique, that living intelligence of life, which machine will never able to imitate or even touch remotely. So be assured, no matter how much this artificial intelligence grows, it will never able to surpass humans, because we have something so extraordinary. And it started with the first cell born on earth more than 3 billion years ago. So in order to feel fulfilled, to live a long life, we have to connect to that intelligence. I myself became a pediatrician, but in second, third year, I realized to become a doctor need only a mechanical intelligence. You read the book, you see the patient, you memorize everything, and after 1,000 to 2,000 patients, you start diagnosing. It doesn't need tremendous talent. So we must go to our childhood. A child is born with unique life energy and fully active body. A baby is brimming with extraordinary, explosive energy. Fully alive, living in this moment. But then something happens around the age of 2 years. In a child emerges a sense of I or ego. This is the most critical event in human life about which very few psychologists, pediatricians talk about. Because once this sense of I, self-awareness emerges, child is separated from the rest of the universe, because this creates a boundary. I, ego, is a boundary. Child is disconnected from the rest of the life in the universe. So child is disconnected with the body and it is increasing. Two things happens. Number one, fear of death. Fear of death in a child appears around the age of 2. First of all, it is a fear of death of others. a pet, a toy, grandma, uncle. Child realizes they disappear and they don't come back. But by the time child is 8 to 9 years old, this death becomes personal. I'm also going to die. But child cannot comprehend. But child is in distress, child is anxious, not recognizing whatever is going on. So this child takes shelter in the love of the parents, grandparents. And what they give? Culture, customs, tradition, religion, a way of life. But that way of life doesn't match this unique energy in child. So there is a clash, there is a conflict. But the child is living in the world of adults, which are huge, powerful. And child has to be consoled, child has to be protected, child knows about it. So a child finally surrenders to the social and cultural milieu, environment. And in those moments, a mind is born. Initially, child was primarily a body. Now this mind is added. But unfortunately, this mind doesn't belong to the child. It comes from outside. And because the process is slow, it is relentless. Child, when growing, eventually becomes adult, forget that this mind doesn't belong to him or her. It is borrowed. He lives on borrowed mechanical life, a conditioned and programmed child. So what happens? A unique life energy is blocked. So a very free, delightful child, a child who was living moment to moment, becomes a dissatisfied, discontented, restless adult. Forever wandering in the world, asking the question, who am I? From where I came? What is my destiny? What is the meaning of life? Why I am here? All the philosophy, politics, and religion, they talk about it. But ultimately, the answer lies in me, because this energy, as I said, is not mystical, it is not religious, it is not connected with God. We invented God in order to explain certain things. It is in this body and brain waiting for us. Many people never realize this, but nature is not cruel. And it brings a moment when this whole life energy becomes active. And that is at the time of death. Because at the time of death, this mind which supported us cannot function. Death cornered the mind. Mind has no escape. Before that, there were so many escapes in religion, in philosophy, in science, in politics, in economics, millions of things we do, we escape. But there is no escape, because this is the last moment. And as soon as the mind is no more, this energy is unblocked. It flows through the body and brain, and first time scientists recorded it in the form of gamma waves. Gamma waves are the waves of enlightenment, as were discovered in Catholic nuns, some of them, and Tibetan monks. So, to raise a child is a great work. The way people raise the child is not enough. Something has to be added. Why this question came to me? Because I made the same blunders, mistakes which any parents make. When I discovered this life energy in myself at the age of 40, I became aware of it. And then granddaughter was born, Avni. So the whole question was, what I'm supposed to do with this tiny life? Can I do something after a direct experience? And the direct experience was that child which I left almost 60 years ago became alive in me. Because the child was conditioned and programmed, but that child's energy can never die because energy never dies. So out of that was born this whole Soma child. What we can do. And out of that reflection, experience, insight came that if we want to raise a happy, wholesome, body-wise child, we must give them roots. So I'm not condemning that to raise a child in a particular religion, in a particular country, in a culture or custom is bad. But that is only the half of the story, because that is absolutely essential, because we know rootless children, they suffer from a variety of mental and physical health problems. So giving them the roots are very important. But simultaneously, we must give them wings also. We forget that part. Because we lived for 50, 60, 30 years in our own ways and we think that is the right way. We become insensitive. Because if we are sensitive, if we are receptive, we will watch this little life and we will discover a very unique way the nature is expressing through this child. So we won't follow our own way. In my days, I used to do this, I used to do that. That is how we give excuses. We justify. And we become very heavy on the child. We must put aside how we led our life. The life in question is this little child. And if we observe, if we become sensitive, we will find that this child is expressing something extraordinary, miraculous, unique. And now we can guide that child. Still child needs guidance, but according to that life which is expressing through this child. So roots and wings, both are vital. We only give roots, we clip the wings. We create a ground for the individual child, but there is no full flowering, full living, full celebration of the life, because that is the very nature of life. Everything celebrates, dances, both in creation and destruction. How to root the child? Number one, connecting to the body. Particularly in this day and age of digital culture, we are going to spend a lot of time in virtual reality, making sure this child is connected with the body. How to connect a child to the body? Hugging, kissing, massaging, holding, embracing, constantly. Because some time we became a no-touch society. We have to leave it. Second is, we have to connect the child from the very beginning to the nature. Because body is the extension of nature. If a child is connected to the body, child will be connected to the nature, not for pleasure. How wonderful forest is. Forest doesn't want that appreciation. Forest want to be protected, to be respected. Because that is a full life. So connection to the body is the first component of rooting. Second one is emotional love and security. Because once we do that in first few years, the child will be emotionally secure, safe, and intelligent. This child will have capacity to receive love and give love in adulthood. So many people can't do that. That is why relationships break down. They are so excellent in their profession. They can analyze, reflect, write, but they don't feel because something didn't happen in their childhood. So connection to the body, emotional security and love. And third is give a child sense of abundance. Abundance, not a deficiency mode. Because once we put this scarcity mode in child's brain, no matter what this child gets as an adult, will always be craving for more and more. There will always be even millions and billions. And as we see our corporate leaders, they have everything, still they won't mind exploiting anyone for a little extra gain. They are suffering from scarcity. These three are for rooting. And wings, as I mentioned, we are all born with that innate personality. I won't go in details. I don't have time. If we follow the child rather than child is following us, once our parents become our role model, we are doomed. We can learn from them. We should never follow. When we follow anyone, we will miss ourselves. So that innate personality. Because then this child, when he or she will grow beyond the age of 25, become economically independent, will say, now I have enough survival and security. Now I am going to unblock this life within me. I'm not going to follow anyone but myself. And at that point, this life energy will be unblocked. In my case, I experienced it at the age of 40. So I was born at the age of 40. So I'm only 28 years old. That is what we can give our children, a gift of life, and our grandchildren. And even when we die, we will be no more. We will be taking care of them because we unleashed, unblocked something so beautiful, that original intelligence of the universe. It will be a lifelong gift. And for this purpose, we are doing many workshops, seminars, in person, online. If anyone, they are all free. If anyone would like to join and explore it fully, as I said, it is nothing mystical or metaphysical. It is purely a neurobiological process based on science. So you are welcome to join us. And I will conclude this talk with 3 lines in Sanskrit. I will chant and I will tell you the meaning. Ojas Sharde Shata Shanti Sharde Shata Anand Sharde Shata Tojas Sharde Shata. The meaning is, may we all live beyond 100 years, but with vitality and vigor. May we all live beyond 100 years in peace. May we all live beyond 100 years in bliss. So idea is to live as long as possible, but with vitality, in peace and in bliss. Thank you very much.
We're now going to sing hymn number 1031, Filled with Loving Kindness.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole.
May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease.
I wanted to share a sorrow submitted by Ginny Megan. Today's the 78th anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima. May we remember all those who died as a result of the bomb, as well as all wars, and in a larger context, how much has been taken from societies everywhere by the military-industrial complex. Thanks, Ginny, for sharing that. For our closing words, it comes from our hymn book by Laura Lynn Bellamy. If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they may come true. If you have known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Go in peace.